And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and tonight I'm delighted to welcome back my good friend and yours, Paul FORMICA.
How are you, Mayor? Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you.
And
Hello, everybody.
and we, Paul and I go back many, many years.
Many years, yeah.
The Kiwanis Club was the tie in the early years.
Yeah, it was early years of the Flanders fish market. I was involved in the Kiwanis in East Lyme for many years. You were involved in New London for many years, and we converged after working together for a number of years because tough to get people to volunteer, and you were able to absorb the East Lyme Kiwanis Club.
The club, as well as the East Lyme High School Key Club.
The high school, which was the key. The Key Club was the key because there was a lot of kids.
And there still is. There's about 100 kids in the East Lyme Key Club, which is terrific.
Yeah, yeah. And did you get over there, or?
I have in years past. I have not in recent years. I mean, it's and I got to tell you, it's hard to get into the schools now with the post-COVID. It's you just don't walk in, ring the bell, or open the door and trot in. You've got to almost go through security.
No, they have it under lock and key, and rightfully so. You know, it's the world has changed since we went to those schools. You know?
Yeah. But the East Lyme, and we also are sponsoring key clubs at Waterford, Fitch, and Ledyard High School.
Oh wow! So you've really expanded the program, which is wonderful for the kids.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are some who would argue that if Kiwanis did nothing besides sponsor key clubs, they've done a good job.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they get the kids with leadership development and service to their school and community. It's a good program.
It's definitely needed. So we like to support. You have a wonderful golf tournament every year to raise money to support that.
And your fish market has been a terrific sponsor for years and years, and we greatly appreciate that. So thank you.
We always make sure you're number one on the list for that. You know, even though I haven't ever won, I don't think.
Well, you know, one of these days you're going to get that hole-in-one on where you hit the 10 grand. And, maybe the day we'll put that in. You know, they don't put in the Republican stuff, but they'll.
You know, I was playing for the Knights of Columbus at Cedar Ridge. They had a tournament to sponsor them, and they had a 50-foot putt that they ensured that you could make. And there were 18 foursomes, so they picked out a number 1 through 18. And they picked out number 9, which was our foursome. It's me and Olivia and a couple of guys from the fish market, and to take the putt. So who's going to do it? They all pushed me out onto the green. And so I went out there. It's 50 foot. It's like 7:30 in the morning. You know, who's awake then? And so I hit it. I missed it by this much. Everybody was yelling and screaming. I just got up, closed my eyes, and swung. I almost got it.
That would have been terrific.
Yeah, it would have been wonderful. I told them they all would have ate for free that day. You know. But
that's good stuff. How's your restaurant downtown doing?
Good. 374 kitchen and cocktails. My children are in the business. My daughter Olivia is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, and she was 10 or 12 years at the fish market after graduation, and she has just so much talent that was beyond, I thought, where the fish market was. So I looked for a place to give her an opportunity to, create and develop her own menu, and she got in there, is doing a wonderful job. We have a gluten-free menu for a lot of folks who are coming in, and she makes up all of the dressings and the batters.
Is she her own chef, or does she hire a chef?
But she's overseeing and then teaches the guys behind the line to cook. And my daughter Hannah, who worked with us for years and went to school at the University of Delaware. And while there, she worked as an Outback waiter during school year, and then she would come home in the summer. And after graduation, she came back and worked for a little while and said, you know, Dad, I gotta kind of go back, make my own way. And for 6 years, she went back to the Outback and got into executive leadership there. She almost had her own restaurant. They do a proprietorship, they call it, and you manage that, and you get to do very well based on how well you do for the company. And so she was in between that and working hard for Outback, and we opened up this place in Niantic. I said, why don't you think about moving back and running this? So she does the management of all of the financial and managing the staff, things she learned, you know, from corporate Outback, and Olivia does all the creation of the food, and my daughter Allie does all of the websites and marketing and computer stuff. That
You got it all covered.
so yeah, so they're getting me out of there a little bit, you know. So
So you can play in golf.
I'm going to play
tournaments.
more golf. Yeah. So I'm going after winning the Kiwanis tournament this year. So
Well, you got to get into a good foursome. You got to make sure that Stanley plays this year.
I played with him. I was down in Florida. I had an opportunity to catch up with him, and we played a round of golf. He's a good guy. He writes a wonderful column every third Sunday for the day. And
I love it. I mean, his writing is terrific.
He's
he was a
excellent
writer
writer.
before he went to the hospital.
Yeah, I think he was with the. Was he
with
with the day? Yeah.
He was doing political stuff.
Yeah.
When I first got involved in politics in London, and he was good to me. I mean, he was fair, and
He's very fair. You know, he'll tell it like it is, but he's very fair, and he just has a way with words that a lot of writers
and
I
he's a
think
big
would like
sports
to
fan.
have.
I mean, on Facebook, he does a lot of writing on UConn men's and women's basketball, post-game wrap-ups,
Yeah.
and he'll do Yankee stuff. I'm not much of a Yankee guy, but New York Yankees. But I just enjoy his style of writing.
He's very good with words, and he put them together, and he begins and he ends all on track. He has all the makings of a wonderful writer. I imagine he could write a very good book if he wanted to sometime.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad to see that the day's picked him up. I mean, Lee Elsey was writing a column once a week or
Yeah,
so, something along those lines for, I don't know, roughly, I don't know, it was a half a year or a year thereabouts.
He did a couple of years, actually. He did.
And then they cut him loose. I guess they had some sort of a disagreement, but I was disappointed with that because I thought it was important that they had a different point of view.
And I think he just had so much work. I mean, the guy, he's on the radio at 6 in the morning, you know, so in order to do that, you have to be up probably at 4 to get ready, and you're on
He
for
lives
4
over in
hours.
East Lyme, and he's got a bit of a ride to get over there.
Yeah, and you're on till 10. Then there's work afterward, taping and moving and playing around with all of the clips. But he's a great guy, and he does a lot of work. And I've been working with him lately in the last couple of months. So it's been nice to reconnect with him. But he has a really good show, and he's very talented.
Yeah, and he's got a big audience here in Southeastern Connecticut.
Yeah, he does some national stuff, I think, for.
Well, he's done some stuff for Wayne Allen Root.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm not
Gallagher,
sure if
I
he
think.
still is. Gallagher, he had. I'm not sure if he still does.
Yeah.
But he was on with 2 or 3 different guys. And that's
National stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good for a guy from East Lyme. You know,
not too bad.
Waterford baseball player.
How
you know?
about that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
So
he gives you an idea of how fine line it is in terms of professional athletics between being a terrific ball player and making the show. Because he never made the show, but he was AAA. He was a hair's breadth away.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And I remember one year up in Norwich, they had a minor league all-star game up in Norwich, and they had a home run derby with some legitimate all-stars. I mean, Dave Winfield was there, and guys of that ilk, and they let Lee participate, at least in the first part of it, and he was leading. So they wouldn't let him play in the second part because they didn't want him to win. Because he didn't want to show up the stars.
Yeah. No, he was
he
very
really
talented.
yanked, and I didn't know him then. I just, boy, I'll tell you, he really yanked him out of there.
Yeah. He can hit the ball. He can hit the ball. He's a good athlete.
Yeah. And he also supports the tournament, and I greatly appreciate that. I mean, he comes out himself, and he also does an awful lot on the air with the public service announcements to beat the drum. And we really, I mean, you can't put a price on that. That's terrific.
No, it's worth quite a bit. And here at Connecticut now most of the time, which is they've really done a wonderful job with that course. It's
that's
beautiful.
That's a town course.
Yeah.
And they've done it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they keep it up and do a nice job. And they've taken care of our tournament and the restaurant, the Par 4 as well. They've been very, both parties, in terms of being flexible, in terms of how many people are participating, if there's weather issues, and making sure that we're.
You usually sell that out, right? I mean, you get 18 foursomes fill the course, and then you kind of put a couple extra on the Par 5s. Is that how you?
Something to that effect, yeah.
So
yeah, we're doing really well. And I'll tell you, it's funny. It took off. We've been doing this for over 20 years, but financially, at COVID since and plus, it's taken off exponentially. Unbelievable. I mean, we've gotten a lot of new participants, new sponsors. They're hanging in there. They're staying with us. And the impression I get from feedback from people who are involved, as well as the course and the restaurant, is that we're running a pretty nice tournament.
You run a great tournament, and everybody went outside when COVID, right? Golf had a rejuvenation, all around when COVID hit.
One of the few things you could do.
Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, a more immediate concern, about 24 hours ago.
24, let me see. Yeah, just about.
Flanders Fish hosted a political get-together of Republicans, candidates seeking the Republican nomination to be run for governor.
Yeah. We had a gubernatorial town hall. That's what we called it. It was sponsored not by the fish market, but we
you hosted.
We were in the banquet room of the fish market, and we had over 100 people show up, and it's in December after the municipal massacre, I call it, when Republicans got their hats handed to them all the way down the ticket, and some strong Republican towns lost mayors and first selectmen in last November's election. And as well as anybody else, that was one of the few majorities, or the only majority we ever had in the state of Connecticut, was mayor and first selectman. It was almost a 2-to-1 ratio 15 years ago. There was more mayors and first selectmen that were Republican than any other. And now we've lost that. And in large part, it has to do with national politics. Connecticut is not real accepted of what's going on nationally. And, and I look at what's happening in the state legislature. And President Trump came in 2016, and he had a new way. Everybody was excited about that. He was running against Hillary. People were much less excited about her than they were about him, and an opportunity for a new thought process. And when he won, he had a lot of coattails. And he brought us we were 15 senators in 2015 and to 21 Democrats. So it was close enough where we had some conversation. But in
that's what, 36?
36 total state senators. And when he won his first term, we were tied in the Senate, 18-18. It was the first time in 100 years there was a tie in the Senate. And we were within 4 votes of the House of Representatives. And so there was real juice that the Republicans had, and we were able to have a seat at the table. And we, as we did some wonderful things back then. The budget that we did in that session is still paying dividends today. We have the highest rainy day fund in the history of the state right now as a result of the controls we put in there, bond controls, spending controls, forced savings controls. And But soon after, in the next election, we lost a few seats, and so we kind of got shut out, and now we're down to 11. And you know, you look at 11 senators versus 25. You know, it's this veto-proof majority the Democrats have, and Ryan Fazio, you and I were talking before we got on air about his run for governor. He's not going to run for re-election. That'll be a very difficult seat, if impossible, for us to keep. Tony Wong, who's been there for a long time, is not running for re-election. He always won in a highly competitive race, and I don't think that's going to happen. So,
and why is Wong not running? Do you know?
He just has had a long career between the House and there, and the, you know, he's facing a primary battle by his own party after being a 5-term senator. You know, the Republicans are primarying down there because some people in the party down there feel like he collaborates too much with the Democrats. But you know, I don't know that they understand that in order to bring things back to your district, you have to talk to the other side if they're in the majority, and you have to, you know, kind of make some concessions. And Tony's always been outspoken that way. He's a wonderful senator. I served with him for many years, and but he's decided to go back in a private practice. I think he's a realtor, a real estate professional. Okay. So I think we lose that seat. So that brings us to 9. And then, given what's happening with the midterm of any president, really. I mean, you go back and look, Clinton and Obama, both Bushes, everybody have lost seats in the National House of Congress and the Federal Senate. So it looks like it's going to happen again, and this time we're pretty close in the House. And I don't think we can afford to lose any seats up there. And I think the trickle down of the anti-Trump feeling here in Connecticut is going to really impact what happens on our state level. You know, we've been fighting that for many years.
Well,
and we saw
especially since everybody who's elected statewide are Democrats. I mean, the governor, all the statewide offices, our 2 U.S. senators, our 5 Congress people.
All of New England. I think Collins in Maine is the only real Republican senator, Republican office holder we have federally, and I think the rest of them, the House people are all Democrats.
I think you may be absolutely correct on that. But it's not that long ago that we had, Simmons was what, 20 years ago. So I mean, it's not yesterday, but. You know, Nancy Johnson, you had McKinney down in the Fairfield County area. You got Gary Frank served a term.
You know, he was the last holdout, I think, after Rob lost. But you know, but we have an uphill battle, and if that trickles down like it did in the municipal elections, you know, we could go down to 6 or 7 senators. In which case, you couldn't possibly do the workload because there's 27 committees, and there has to be a representative of both party on each committee, and if you're 7 or 8 people, you just can't do the work. And so we were sitting around, and I'm saying, this, you know, we have to do something. You know, we're not winning. The Democrats have consistently and successfully used the anti-Trump movement against Republicans. You know, they say, I had a friend of mine, 30 years. The last time I ran for Senate, he said, I can't vote for you. And I said, why not? He said, because you're the same line as the president. He said, you think my opponent's going to do a better job? No, I don't think that at all. But because of him, I can't vote for you. And you know, that's not really what I believe politics should be about. You know, you're hiring somebody that you think you can do a job based on their qualifications and their characteristics and their personality.
Well, that's how I've gotten elected in London. I mean, London is certainly not fertile ground for Republicans, but and it's gotten more difficult. I mean, since the city changed its form of government to the strong mayor a dozen years ago plus, it's been awful. I mean, the last handful of years, it's been literally all Democrats. Mayor, city council, school board, across the board.
And it's, I think, one of 2 towns in the state that doesn't have minority representation. And by that I mean, in East Lyme, for example, you can't have more than 4 members of one party, say, on the Board of Selectmen of 6. Even if all 6 of the party won higher vote totals, you'd have to give back 2 seats to the next 2 people so that there's a little bit of a balance. There's still a majority, but a little bit of, but New London doesn't have that. Their charter supersedes that.
Yeah, well, that was, I'll call it connived by Bill Sebas when he was the Deputy Speaker of the House, and he put in legislation that has created what we have now, which basically blocks us from having minority party representation in New London. And since we have changed the form of government, I mean, Adam Scacchi has served 1 2-year term as council as the only Republican, and I served 2 terms.
It was Rob Perro was
he
was
has never served. He was before that.
Yeah.
And he ran for mayor and was unsuccessful. He did run for school board and win a seat in this form of government. Yeah. And he was he's been the only elected Republican on our school board since 2011.
Well,
so I mean, diversity of ideas is moot. I mean, the Democrats argue that they have diversity, but it's kind of a DEI diversity. It's not diversity of thought.
Yeah, no, it's not. And you see right now that, you know, the buzzword now is affordability, right? I mean, from the national level down to the municipal level, things are just getting so out of hand and so expensive. And, you know, to hear the Democrats say, you know, we have an affordability crisis when they've been in power for 30 years, you know, whose fault is that, you know? And, but we did a good job there. So I just thought, listen, there's got to be a way where we can try to stop all this. And so we put together a group of people in kind of a regional Republican town committee. And, you know, we have about 25 working people that are involved. We're gonna get involved. And did you order? Chinese or something?
I didn't order a pizza, but let's see who's calling.
All right.
Good evening. You're on the air.
Hey, Marty. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you, Paul.
Yeah. Hi. Who's this?
Since you're going to talk about municipal and know best, I mean, sorry you had to do what you had to do, Paul, but really, you were our last voice as far as when it came to representation in Connecticut for those of us that aren't Democrats.
Oh, thank you.
But, I mean, as it is, until you left, you were trying to introduce legislation because New London is a city council at large like New Britain to try to get minority representation on both our board and city council.
Yeah, I put that bill in every year that I was.
I know you did.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But it never got passed. I wonder why.
Well, listen to hear you talk how representation or the balance of what party explains why that pretty much failed.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing here in New London. It's a one-party thing, and it's not so much even getting elected to municipal office. You can't even get appointed or serve on boards or commissions if you're not the right party in this city.
Yeah. And that's not the way to run any government, municipal, state, or federal. It's not the way. You have to put people in positions that they have passion and expertise.
They'll talk the other way and say, "Oh, we want this open everybody has a voice."
Yeah.
As long as it's their voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, that's hopefully what we're trying to change, and we're putting this group together to see if we can get out there and kind of reintroduce the Republican Party to the electorate, and maybe that'll trickle over to New London, and we can make some changes there. Who knows?
Maybe. Well, I don't know how long you're in politics as senator and selectman, but maybe I knew pretty much only in Connecticut. Why does Connecticut never put up a governor from any other county but Fairfield? Why is there never a governor to come out of Southeastern Connecticut?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about that. We have some good candidates that come out of there. Ryan Fazio out of Greenwich was a great senator. I served with him for a couple of years when I was there, and he's a wonderful person. Aaron's out of New Britain. they're kind of working our way towards southeastern Connecticut, kind of roundabout. But who was the last governor candidate out of here? Heather Summers was running for lieutenant governor, I believe.
Didn't she tie in with the mayor of Danbury?
Yeah, Boughton.
Real quick, because I know you want to take the next call. Where is this new restaurant you're talking about, Paul?
Down on Niantic, 374 Kitchen and Cocktails. Actually, 374 Main Street. Used to be
374 Main Street. Okay, thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks for
Thank
the
you for
call. I
calling.
appreciate your kind words.
He's very in tune with what's going on in town, this gentleman.
Yeah. So anyway, we're trying to kind of put a group together that says, how do we counteract the Trump thing? And it's not about whether you like Trump or hate Trump. It doesn't make any difference. What makes a difference is the people in Connecticut that have the majority, the unaffiliated voters who have more than 50 or around 50% of the voting registered voters, and the Democrats. A lot of conservative and moderate Democrats used to come and vote for me. They stopped doing that, and those are people we need. New London County, the 20th district where I ran, had 10,000 Republican voters, roughly 20,000 Democrats, and 27,000 unaffiliates. So the Republicans could vote for me twice, and I would still not win.
I understand.
So
It's just kind of like New London. I mean, if every Republican came out and voted for me or you, you still come up short.
Yeah, I lost New London the last time by 3,300 votes. I had to make it up in the other 7 towns. So, what we're trying to do is to kind of get the word out that Republicans is, some may support Trump, some may not, some may be indifferent. But the real effect that people have, as to the caller talked about, the real effect that elected people have are the state offices here in Connecticut. The national stuff is the national stuff, and everybody's worried about what's going on in the world, on the world stage with what's happening there, and there's a lot of concern about some of the policies changing down. But the day-to-day doings of state representatives and state senators and municipal leaders, really, that affects our lives more than anything else.
Absolutely.
And so we got to get more Republicans back there, and we got to do it by reintroducing ourselves, I believe, to the electorate that we're the same as they are. We're, coaches of youth sports and teachers and business people and, neighbors and friends. And we have some policy ideas that you should listen to. And if you don't like that, then don't vote for us.
Yeah.
But
I mean that was a conversation that I had the last time that I ran for office, which is half a dozen years ago or so now. But a woman that I knew, and she's a Green Party person, and I'm out banging on doors, and she asked me about Trump. I says, I'm running for city council. I'm not running for president.
Yeah.
I says, you know me, and I've served this community for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, if you think I've done a good job, please vote for me. And if you don't.
Yeah.
But based on the merit of what you think I bring to the table, because what's happening out of Washington isn't influencing my votes here in town.
Yeah.
Does that translate into a vote for me? I'm not sure, but I called it the way I saw it and says, hey, look.
Well, it's been a campaign tool for the Democrats that, if you're a Republican, you're Trump. I mean, I remember my opponent used to send Facebook pictures of me out with orange hair, and and it's worked for them. So God bless them, right? They got to use something that works. But I think it's time to turn the tide, and I think that there are some things that Republicans have. If we didn't have a tie in the Senate, the session before that, we were $3 billion in debt. $3 billion in the state budget, and by putting our budget in and getting some Democrats to vote for it and pass it, and eventually Malloy signed it because he had to, and now we have controls, and the state is on much better footing. And that wouldn't have happened had there not been an opportunity for two parties to get together. Kathy Austin was the co-chair of appropriations. When the majority has the chair and the minority has the ranking member. But when you have a tie, all the rules kind of became different. Nobody knew what to do. So we had co-chairs in the Senate and a ranking member from the House. So Kathy and I were co-chairs, and we were looking at the budget, and we sat at a table not unlike this. She had 3 or 4 people that worked for her and that. I had 3 or 4 people who worked the committee with me, and we went through every line item in the budget. I think there was 1,800 line items. And we would say, all right, we both like this, we'll put it over here. She would say, well, I don't like this, or I don't like that. And we made different piles. And we took all the stuff we agreed on and put it away, and then we whittled away on the other stuff, and it turned out to be a great budget. And that's really how it's done. You have to talk to people. But now, if you're talking to people too much on the other side, then then your party gets at you, whether you're a progressive far left Democrat or a hard Republican, and that's got to change. And I think we got to go back to the old school ways.
Well, bringing up Senator Austin, I think she's got a credible and viable candidate who stepped up, Mike France.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was initially surprised Mike was thinking of doing a third run for Congress, but I think that he has been elected to the House. I don't remember how many times, but it was more than once.
Yeah, I think 4. I think he was there 4 terms, and he was the ranking member on appropriations when I was co-chair, I guess. He's a very smart guy. He works very hard. Kathy is a very good senator. She works very hard. She's very tough. She'll be very difficult to beat. But we need more balance, and if Mike's successful, I think he will be just as good as Senator Austin. I sat next to Senator Austin for the 8 years I was there, and we developed a good relationship. But we need more balance. That's the key. We need more balance, and without that, the people suffer, because you start looking at the bills that are coming out, and the affordability crisis, I think, rests solely in their lap. So,
well, I think a lot of it is also it's blarney in that when they. I spent a good part of my adult life in home improvements and construction, and folks talk about affordable housing. The cost of a 2x4 is the cost of a 2x4.
yeah.
And the folks that are putting this together, the carpenters and electricians and laborers, et cetera, they're making their wages, and the same people who are hollering about high prices want living wages.
Yeah.
Which just, they just keep pushing up the cost.
Yeah.
So the affordable housing requires third party. It requires subsidies or tax credits. It requires somebody coming in to bring that cost down. But just based purely on labor and materials, it is what it is.
Yeah. And the cost of
these guys aren't doing building these houses or developments for charity. They're doing it to make a buck.
Yeah. And the land cost is going up all the time too. So it's hard to put them in places. There has to
Permits,
be specific
utilities.
places. Yeah. Yeah. So, everything is very expensive, but that's an item that we're definitely short on. We need some workforce, if you will, housing that that population is now our teachers and our cops and our service technicians. That's what is in need of some housing that's affordable, because the price of everything else is going so up. Not like the projects of the old days 50 years ago, when it was a whole different type of poverty around. Now it's working class difficulties, and we have to find ways to come up, I think, with a new model. Maybe you build more of a hotel-like model, but you make
that's what the Tunnels to Tower guys are doing. They're taking hotels that have failed, and they're rebuilding them for vets.
For housing. Yeah, it's something. You got to have something. One, it's already there. and two, the bones are there that you could kind of revisit, and you can make it, you can make it somewhat affordable because of all that, and that's what people want. A lot of studio apartments. I have a wonderful staff, and these kids are always looking for places to live, and it's just getting harder and harder. And much less, you can't buy a house when you're a kid unless you really work 4 jobs.
Well, where do they get the down payment?
Yeah. And you get outbid now. The prices are still getting bid up. Your asking price for a home is no longer what it sells for. It's much higher than that, and people bid that up. And maybe it's softening a little bit, but it's difficult. And those are things that have to be addressed.
Yeah. Now, one thing that concerns me coming up with this election is that there's a number of areas where the incumbents there's no challenger, and that's not a good environment.
No. We had the young Republicans of Connecticut at the event last night, and they had a couple of really dynamic speakers, young kids that are pushing that. There's a new London County chapter. We had the representative of Middlesex County chapter there last night. They spoke very eloquently and reaching out about that very thing. Let's get some young people involved, and because some of the empty slots in the ballot need to be filled, because you have to, one, we shouldn't let anybody have a free pass, and two, it's a reverse effect, if you will. If you don't have somebody there against an incumbent, then they take their money and they can spread it around and help other candidates who might need it instead of worrying about their own race. So it's important to get candidates. So we're trying to look at filling that. We have some good potential candidates coming up, and hopefully we'll fill a lot of those slots here in Southeastern Connecticut by the work we're doing. So, but it was good. We, back to what we started talking about, the 3 candidates for governor on the
Sure.
Republican side were there last night, and the program was set up where they had 30 minutes each. It wasn't a debate. It wasn't a back and forth. We led off with Betsy McCaw, and she had 30 minutes, and there was 100 people in the room, and she talked to them, and they were not very far away from her. It was a very intimate setting, a lot of questions and answers. And then when she stepped down, Erin came up, and she did a great job with her 30 minutes going back and forth. There's some tough questions asked, but they handled them pretty well. And then Ryan Fazio was at 7:30 because he lived the farthest away, so we gave him a little bit of time. And he did 7:30 to 8, and Lee, we talked about the great Lee Elsey, I think, before we were on, and he did a live remote there last night.
So he was not moderating, he was just
kind of
seeing it get on the air on 94.9.
He was on the air. There was really no moderator. I opened it up with a welcome, and then the young Republicans spoke, and then Lee introduced Betsy, and she went on, and we had questions, and then Lee introduced Erin and Ryan, and then we locked it up at a little bit after 8, and it was very well received, and it was it was an old-fashioned town hall kind of thing where people could get right there. So I think we're going to try to do more of that.
Well, I think that's very, very important, and people will be much more inclined to vote for folks that they have reached out, they've touched, they've seen, as opposed to somebody who's operating in a vacuum that they don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? It's so hard. We used to be, back when you and I started, right? It was direct mail. That's what we had, right? And maybe if you raised some money, you got a TV spot, and then places like this opened up. And you could do shows like this for a little bit less money. You could run ads on the local cable channels. But now everything is on social media. Everything is email or Facebook or whatever else there is out there. And I think it gets lost. I still get more emails every morning than I can read by the end of the day. And so I think we got to go back to the written word, you know, and putting a nice postcard out in front of somebody that they get in the mail, because I get 2 or 3 pieces of mail every day. I don't get 20.
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting. I mean, newsprint is becoming so devalued. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there was a piece. I don't know if it was in the paper or if it must have been online, Facebook, regarding the event last night and chastising the day because they didn't cover it.
They did. They were invited, but they didn't come. We had the Examiner can, and then I'll tell you a funny story about. I don't know where to look. There you are. A funny story last night. A young woman, Grace Quillam, was 8 years old, and she is the granddaughter of my executive assistant when I was first selectman on my first run for Senate, 2015. And so she made a banner for me, and she did a poster, and we had pictures and things we put out. She came to the celebration when we won, and it was fun. Well, she called me a couple weeks ago and said she was with Connecticut, Central Connecticut State College, and she was writing for the magazine, and could she come out and interview anybody? Could I help her with the governor and all of that? So I said, well, why don't you come to this event last night? And so there she was, and her co-writer, and they were able to get interviews with all 3 of the candidates. They're going to write a nice piece in the magazine for the school, and so they were there. The Examiner was there, but the day decided it wasn't worth it. I guess we weren't on the right side of the aisle for them, maybe.
Well, it's interesting because I mean I think if Lamont had been down at Muddy Waters and around the table with some of the daily regulars, they would have had a reporter there.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, that's their choice. They missed out listening to good candidates, and you know, I think any of them could do a reasonable job. I know Lamont's going to be very difficult to beat, but he's got Representative Elliott nipping at his heels a little bit. You know, he's raised Representative Elliott's raised a couple $100,000, which is a remarkable feat, running against a 2-term governor whose popularity is over 50%. So who knows what's going to happen when it comes to the convention, and that could end up to be a primary, which would be amazing to me.
Speaking of primary, what's your analysis or evaluation of the 3 Republican candidates? I mean, are they all going to get 15% plus? And will there be a Republican primary, or will the candidate who comes out ahead, whether they have a plurality or not, are others going to back off and support that candidate?
Yeah, you know, I ran for Congress in 2006 or for state representative in 2006 when Rob ran, and in 2012 I ran for Congress, and I was primary. And the convention is in May. My opponent got over 15%, and I won the majority, but we had a primary. So you spend the next 3 or 4 months fighting for Republican votes. The primary date is August 10th, 12th, 15th. And once you win, whoever wins, now only has 9 weeks to beat a sitting governor. So here we have 3 good candidates. I don't know that all 3 will get over 15%, but I certainly think 2 of them will. And you know, it would be nice if they said, you know what, I'm all behind you. You have 8, you know, from May to November to fight the guy we want to beat. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they both have been awarded the state financing. They have millions of dollars to get to the primary, and I think that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen. But they're 2 very good candidates. So whoever comes out of it, one of the questions last night was, you know, if you lose, will you support the eventual winner? Because a lot of times we've taken our football and gone home, and that's not the way to do it. So they all said they would definitely back the winner at the end of the day. So at least that's a good thing. But I think a primary is in the cards.
Now, from your perspective, what's the state doing with Proto et al. In regards to this election? Are they warming up to any particular candidate, or is he, or are they going to let the people make the choice? Are they going to get involved like the Democrats have done in recent presidential elections?
I think that the party chair, the state party chair, is always in a difficult position because I'm sure they have a candidate that they would like to support. But they really can't come out, I don't think, and say we're going to, I want this guy. I think they have to let the process take hold. I think they could be more proactive in, helping the grassroots level grow a little bit than they have been. But it's a very difficult position, and I think so. I don't know what they're doing, and I know that Ben Proto, who is a Republican state party chair, was just elected or appointed to a big job in the National Republican Committee for, I think he's chairman or vice chairman of the budget committee there. So he's thinking about different things, which might take his eye off the ball here a little bit, but certainly make it much harder for him to devote a lot of time, because that's got to be a lot of work what he's doing. So kudos to him for taking on that position. But
I know he's a weekly guest on Lee's program.
Yeah.
And I usually have an opportunity to listen to him. And on the radio, he sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I from observation, and it's anecdotal though, that I think that the state party is not doing enough for the state reps and the Senate candidates, because you elect the governor, if you elect the governor, and put all your eggs in that basket, and you come out with minorities in the assembly, it limits what the governor can do.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So, but I think the governors, when I was there, I think they would have liked to have one house, either the Senate or the House, a Republican and a Democrat, even in the times we weren't tied there, just because it kind of gives them a little better way to play off. But the state party is very difficult. We have state party representatives, state central representatives that there's a couple of state central representatives in each Senate district. That's how it works. So you have two guys, and up in the 19th, I think there are 12 towns. So you have two guys from the central party representing them that got to cover 12 towns. I mean, it's
a lot of town committee meetings.
It's a lot of town committee meetings. It's a lot of land. There's a lot of spread out, a lot of beautiful acreage up there. So it makes it hard to do that. So that's why we're hoping that this group we're putting together is going to get to be able to do some grassroots work and really help move things along, at least raise the awareness of what's going on. And I don't think we can turn people to like Trump who don't, or to hate Trump who like him. So I don't think that's going to be part of it. We have to reintroduce who we are, and hopefully. Are
you getting any pushback from those who are hardcore Trumpers that
sure.
It's Trump or nothing?
Sure, and I say, okay, that's great, but we're not winning. So if you want to win, what are we going to do? We have to do something different. And it's like Einstein, right? You're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's the definition of insanity.
I've heard that, yes.
So we have to kind of find a way to, I think, bring the message back to the people. And I think that's, getting down into the main streets of Connecticut, and walking and talking and saying, this is who I am, and this is what I believe in. And if you like it, like you said, if you like it, vote for me. If you don't, I'm okay with that. But this is what I'm trying to do. And on the other side of it is, come to one of these events we're having and tell us what you like. And if you want to run, come and run,
Well, we need people to run. It's amazing how time flies when we're having fun, because we have exhausted our time here this evening. It's amazing. But I want to thank you for carving out the better part of an hour.
Well, thank you for inviting me. You're right, it went by very quickly.
Old times, and over the course of the campaign, I hope you'll have an opportunity to come in and offer your thoughts on what's going on and who's getting it done and maybe who's not. You know, some folks maybe need a little kick in the behind.
Yeah, well, we'll be happy to come back anytime you ask us, so we appreciate it.
Well, thanks a lot, Paul. And folks, thank you for watching City Focus. Next week, my guest will be the head football coach at New London High School. His correspondence reads as Q. So I'm going to go with that for now, and we'll expand on that next week. Thanks for watching, and good night.